Hey there, welcome to day 1495 of What You Up To Now. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, documenting the journey as I originally transitioned from the brick and mortar business to the online world of business. And in 2020, with COVID and all the craziness, I am going back and forth and doing both. I believe in multiple streams of income. I'm sure I've mentioned that over the last 1,400 plus videos, but today I want to talk about changing a belief. And we've been focusing on mental well-being, mental health, mindset, mental thought, intellectual ideas for the month of March. It's only March 4th. It's my sister's birthday, by the way. Happy birthday, Julie. We're focusing on that. And so the last couple of days and today we've been talking about beliefs, limiting beliefs. A limiting belief is just a belief that doesn't serve us, or a conflicting belief in that it blocks us because it conflicts with a more positive belief we have. We might believe two things, but they butt heads, and so our subconscious has to argue back and forth about those beliefs, and that means we don't move in the direction we want to go, probably because unless the positive belief is much stronger and can drown out the limiting belief or the conflicting belief, we just stay stuck. So today we talked about, as part of the 365-day challenge, do one thing every day that improves us, we talked about how do you change beliefs. And I shared a 10-step process, which is more complicated, I think, than it needs to be. But it's the detailed process if you really want to sit down and work on a limiting belief. So I give an example and walk through the 10 steps of I'm not smart enough. If you believe I'm not smart enough. And I said, I'm not smart enough to write a children's book. And I gave that as the example and walked through the 10 steps. And basically, it's what's my current belief? What do I want my belief to be? How can I reinforce? And then there's a step to argue with your old belief. Why do you want the new belief? And this is how we change anything in our life, right? It's the SOAP framework, which we're going to do in detail in a couple of weeks again. Not even a couple of weeks. Week after next, I believe, is when it's scheduled for our mindset, our mental well-being SOAP framework example. And I don't know what we'll do for that. It'll depend. I decided as I go along, obviously, each day, here's the topic. Okay, then I research and I say, what are we going to talk about? What are we going to do about this based on my past experience? Which leads me to our idiom for Supersize Your Business today was believe none of what you hear and only half of what you see, or something similar to that phrasing of that idiom. Basically, it's a warning to remind us that we can't rely solely 100% on our own experiences. And part of that is because our own experiences are things from the past, and what we're facing now in the current situation might be similar, but it's going to always be different than what we faced before, right? Because now we have all those experiences from the past that we can use to build on. But sometimes we need more than just our own experience. Sometimes we need expert help. Sometimes we need a mastermind, advisors, mentors, books, reading, research, education. Sometimes we need more to equip us with what it is that we need in order to achieve what it is that we want. So we talked about that and how that impacts our business and our business growth. And I shared the bombshell that, guess what? Almost all the time when there's a problem with the growth of our organization, we are somehow the bottleneck or impacting the bottleneck. And this might sound a little harsh, but I've seen it in literally thousands of examples and thousands of businesses before, where even if we think we're doing everything right as a leader of that organization, what we're focusing on, what our emphasis is, might be not the best for our overall organization. I'll give you an example. I was involved in and worked in an organization in corporate America a long, long time ago that had a huge focus on sales. And sales, the sales people were gods, and anything sales said or did was supported by the rest of the organization. Now, in theory, that sounds really good. And the owners of the business were all on board and all in with that because they believed that sales was king and that you had to have the sales and then you figured everything else out after the fact. Well, the problem with that was that the sales division would promise things to customers that the manufacturing division didn't have the technological capability of providing. So they would sell things that we could not physically produce. We couldn't do it. We couldn't meet the things that sales promised. And that created this huge problem with over promising and under delivering, because we couldn't deliver what the salespeople were promising. So we ended up having hundreds of thousands and into the millions of write-offs because manufacturing couldn't meet what sales was selling. So even though sales looked really good, the owners had to understand that the salesmen could only sell what we could technologically produce and provide to the customers. They had to stop over promising and because we were under delivering, and they had to promise what we could deliver, sell based on what we could deliver. It was a huge deal in the organization, huge cultural change. And it made a huge impact in the long term. It was very painful in the short term for the owners, the sales division, for even the rest of the divisions that, but it relieved stress in some areas, because instead of being up against the wall, knowing that you couldn't produce what was being promised and feeling stressed out about that, and always pressured to do more that you couldn't even do technologically, so that's an example. So really the owners were encouraging that, and encouraging that culture was preventing the business from growing and supersizing, and was creating a bottleneck. So inadvertently, the owners were creating a bottleneck. Sometimes it's hard to admit, but we are the biggest slowdown of our own business's growth and success. So how to change a limiting belief. If you're curious and interested about that, pop into onto Sharon Horne-Ellstrom page, and you can see today's video about that. Otherwise, you can go to, on Facebook, there's a private Facebook group called the Get Up and Go Challenge. I've rolled the Get Up and Go Challenge. Used to do it every other month during COVID. Now rolled it into the annual challenge. And once a month, we're doing the Get Up and Go Challenge inside of this annual challenge. This annual challenge is bigger than any annual challenge I've really ever done before, except for personal annual challenges. My annual challenges are usually a warm up my voice challenge so I can talk about the other topics that I'm talking about with my groups. Questions, hit me up. If I can help you in any way, ask. Otherwise, I got a really busy schedule this week and next. So have an awesome day. Questions, ask. I will get to them ASAP. If you happen to know my Voxer, you can Voxer me. I love Voxer because I can answer you right away. Otherwise, direct message. I'm here to help if I can. Again, there isn't any problem that we have in our lives and in our organizations, and especially in our businesses, that we can't figure out the next step in 5 minutes or less. I guarantee that. I guarantee 5 minutes or less, we can get you moving to the next thing that you need to do in order to grow and supersize your business. All right. Have an awesome day, and I will, of course, be with you tomorrow.